Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Friday, a wonderful Friday in January. Now, I just came from the movie titled Freud's Last Session. What would I say about this movie? I would say it's thoroughly enjoyable. Going into this movie, I would say I had a particular set of expectations. If you don't know my movie taste, it's typically high intensity, action-packed, vibrant, very energetic films. So when something slows itself down, like I'm trying to do now, it typically is a bit of a struggle for me. Well, maybe not a struggle, but I definitely was not expecting this type of an interaction, this type of an execution. Particularly because the trailers for this movie definitely gave off a more vibrant tone. I will say that I think the trailers were a bit of a misnomer. Just a smidge. See, what I gathered from the trailers, I said, okay, I'm going into this film for a hefty debate between a staunch atheist and a vibrant Christian. That was what I was expecting. I was expecting just enough of a storyline for the whole sheboygan to make sense. However, I was a little bit surprised at how things began to unfold. See, the whole movie felt more like two friends telling their stories, and it happens to be centered around a particular issue. At times, it felt a little bit disjointed, and like the movie wasn't quite picking up a direction it wanted to go in. At other moments, it felt like it was trying to do everything. And it was trying to be a debate without having the ferocity and intensity of a debate, but also being somewhat mellow. But as I sat down and contemplated it and journaled and jotted down some thoughts, I realized it's an excellent picture. It's an excellent demonstration of what it should look like for two people to disagree. You see, all throughout the film, it's not even subtle. It is vibrant. It is vicious. The comments that Freud makes against Lewis and how Lewis is supposedly this man of wondrous intellect, but he stoops so low as to believing in a delusional fantasy. And how Lewis, although more subtle, starts to jab back with, well, you've got this belief, this hatred for God, but you also carry, all these statues and Catholic idols and icons in your home. The debate is not light. The whole thing feels like a friendly fencing match, but they are definitely making their most valiant attempts to better their own positions and to tear down the opponents. And I said to myself, well, this is a great model for how it should look now. See, because now we have this mentality. We say, well, there's my way, or you're stupid. You are but a fool if you do not agree with me. But the problem is, we've lost that respect. We've lost that sense of admiration for another person just because they have a well thought out view. See, there are several points of view that, although one may consider them wrong in comparison to their own, they're well thought out. I believe there are several of these. And although I personally have my own convictions and my own times where I say, no, that's incorrect, it's this, it's actually this, it is not B, it is A. I believe having that respect for someone to say, hey, even if you help them along, just to care about arguing well and having a well thought out point of view, and there's the respect for someone and valuing that relationship. We don't do that anymore. It feels like there's two options nowadays. you sweep everything under the rug, or you were at war, and you fight for your opinion, and you fight for the right to be right, and everyone else is a fool. No, even if you lose a match, sometimes you might lose a match to an opponent that is skilled. I say that's a thing. And I say, just as the execution of a means of understanding, the execution of how these characters pull it off, I think it's worth seeing for that. On top of which, Anthony Hopkins as Freud is it's quite amusing. It's quite entertaining. And I thoroughly enjoyed watching him throw jabs and comments and having his jolly nature. It was all a pleasant experience. And then it comes to near the end of the movie, and Lewis has several moments where he just says, well, he has to take a defeat. He takes a couple blows from Freud. And he says, I'm going to botch this quote, but this is roughly my paraphrasing. He says, I'm sorry I don't always understand or have the right answers. You see, every time I think I have God grasped and understood, he shatters my whole understanding of him. And I have to go find him again and find him in a new way. And the trick is to just keep looking. And I found that to be profound. And I found that to be a good quote. That was almost the highlight of the movie for me. Because it was said much better than I can put it. So I advise you go watch the movie. But that made it for me. I'm going to have to go see it again and write it down. So do I recommend this movie? Well, yes. Yes, I do. I think it's a good model, like I said, of how to debate properly and how to disagree properly. And I think it's the questions they raise and the answers to them, I think, are pretty well thought out as well. I think both parties are done justice in that there isn't a heavy bias towards one looking stupid and the other looking not. Although I do think Lewis could have better points. So maybe I don't think that. I don't know. Just roughly, I think they were both portrayed fairly. And I think it's just a good, whether or not which side you take on the actual debate, I think just as a model for a good debate, I think this is a work of brilliance. And watching Anthony Hopkins, always fun. But hey, that's just me. I'm just a knight on the battlefield. Let me know down in the comments what you think, and if you liked it, press that little thumb button. And if you want to see more content, I do have a blog. I often am one of those people that expresses themselves better in writing than in word. So let me know. Go check it out. And let me know what you think. And until next time, may peace be with you. Amen.